Xiao and Ling have been bickering their whole lives. Especially Xiao. If you don't pamper her, she'll lose it. On the other hand, Ling keeps trying to get rid of her. But since they're neighbors and grew up together, they're closer than siblings. The series begins with Xiao's mom scolding her over her terrible grades. She ranked 29th out of 30 students in her class. Her dad tries to smooth things over, saying, "Well, at least you beat one student. Bravo, my daughter. You're a genius." Her mom, however, gets frustrated and yells, "Get out of my sight before I have a stroke." Xiao takes the chance to run to Ling's house, which is conveniently on the floor above theirs. The moment Ling's mom sees Xiao, she pampers her, and even gives her a pair of slippers as a gift. Ling, watching this, says, "And what about me? My slippers have been torn for ages." Xiao's response, "Remind me, and I'll shove them your way." The next day, on their way to school, Xiao tells Ling they need to come up with a creative way to celebrate his mom's upcoming birthday. Ling pleads, "Please don't think too much, but if you do, she'll be over the moon." He reminds her of all the times her creative ideas went wrong, like the time she tried to grow flowers for his mom and messed it up, forcing him to scour the city for similar ones. Or the time she made a disaster of the kitchen trying to cook something. "Enough creativity for now," he tells her. At school, Xiao chats with her friend Juan, who tells her about a gang that's been causing trouble recently, attacking a fellow student and breaking his bike. They leave 3 green leaves as their calling card, so people call them the Greenleaf Gang. Later, Xiao checks her phone to look at a picture of her favorite idol. The principal catches her and confiscates the phone, leaving her upset for the rest of the day because she won't be able to contact her fan group. Juan lends her another phone, telling her to hold on to it. Meanwhile, Ling sends Xiao a message saying he's hanging out with friends and she shouldn't wait for him, but she doesn't see the message. When she leaves to wait for him, she finds his bike lying on the ground with 3 leaves next to it. Convinced the gang kidnapped him, she sets out to find him herself. By evening, Ling returns home and realizes Xiao hasn't come back yet. He calls her, but Juan answers. Ling tells his family he's going to buy something from the bookstore, then goes out to search for her in their usual hangouts. He eventually finds her handing out missing posters with his picture on them. She's even standing with a group of thugs. He tries to sneak her away, but she calls out to him. Turns out, she's standing with the Greenleaf Gang. But they're nothing more than a group of goofy kids who are just trying to protect her. When they finally head home, Ling scolds her for wandering the streets looking for him. She reminds him of her childhood promise to always protect him. He reassures her, "Don't worry, I won't disappear, and our fates are tied together. If something happens to you, I couldn't live a single moment without you." She's about to get emotional, but Ling quickly adds, "Besides, my mom would kill me." Cue the flashback. Xiao was born a little before Ling. When Ling was born, he was so quiet that his parents worried he was mute. They only relaxed when Xiao visited with her mom, and Ling cried in response to Xiao's wailing. From that moment, their families decided to become each other's godparents, and Xiao and Ling have been inseparable ever since. Even when Ling's father left and cut off contact, Xiao looked after him, defending him whenever needed. Sure, she was tough on him sometimes, but it was all with good intentions. She even took up taekwondo to protect him. Over time, Ling grew tired of her teasing, but being the bright student he is, he ended up skipping a grade ahead of her despite being the same age. Back to Xiao in class, where they're assigning class monitors and committee roles. Xiao ends up in the cleaning committee. She and her friend Juan head out to clean the school. Ling notices them and joins as the cleaning supervisor, along with his friend Xin, who secretly has a crush on him, though he doesn't pay her any attention. Ling decides to mess with Xiao, telling her that the leaves on the ground will cost her points. Xin reassures Xiao, saying, "Don't believe him, he's joking," but Ling doubles down, pointing to a bag hanging from a tree and telling Xiao that leaving it there will also lose her points. Xiao, not wanting to risk it, rushes to climb the tree to retrieve the bag, even though Ling insists he was joking, and it won't cost her any points. Despite his protests, Xiao insists on getting the bag. However, she ends up falling from the tree, tearing her pants in the process. Ling immediately steps in, covering her with his jacket and taking her away. Xin, witnessing this, feels jealous. At home, Xiao goes on and on about the importance of cleanliness, pretending to be a hygiene instructor, until her mom kicks her out of the kitchen. She then turns to her dad, who also kicks her out of the house entirely. So, naturally, she heads to Ling's mom, who always spoils her. Once there, Xiao sneaks into Ling's room to inspect it. She finds it spotless, without a speck of dust. While snooping around, she discovers a strange box under his bed. Ling claims it belongs to a friend. Xiao uses this as leverage, threatening to expose him unless he helps her retrieve her confiscated phone from the teacher. The next day, during a teacher's meeting, they sneak into the classroom to search for the phone. They're interrupted by Han, a smug classmate who sees Ling as his rival. The teacher, who had been napping in the room, wakes up and catches them. Ling, being quick on his feet, manages to escape, claiming he was just returning some money he found. This leaves Xiao and Han to face the consequences. Eventually, Han proves his innocence by explaining he was only there to register for a competition, leaving Xiao to take the full blame. She's removed from her position as committee head, and is also tasked with writing a 1,000-word apology letter. Furious, Xiao storms home and creates chaos until her mom yells at her to deliver a box of apples to Ling. Xiao, of course, plans to throw the box at him. However, when she gets there, Ling surprises her by returning her friend's phone and even writing the apology letter for her. Later, Ling begins to notice his mom dressing up more whenever she goes out. One day, he follows her to work after school and sees her getting into a car with a man. He starts to worry that she might be dating and could leave him just like his dad did. That night, he studies but falls asleep, dreaming that his mom leaves him. Xiao, sensing something is wrong, pesters him to cheer him up. The next day, they head out together to pick a birthday gift for his mom. There's a discount if they play and win a game, and being skilled, they manage to win and get the discount. Asterisk. After Ling's mom's birthday, he asks her about the man she was with. She tells him she'll introduce them soon. Ling responds that all he wants is for her to be happy. When the exam results come out, Xiao's grades drop even further. She begs Ling not to tell her parents, but when she gets home, she's shocked to find out they already know. Later, Xin tries to give Ling a gift, but he refuses to accept it. However, Ling's friend, who also happens to like Xin, grabs the gift and says, "Thanks, it's amazing." Meanwhile, the teacher decides to separate Xiao and her best friend in class because they distract each other too much. Xiao is moved next to Han, while her friend ends up sitting next to a quiet, studious boy. During sports day, Xiao gets hit by a basketball, which scares Ling. To prove himself, he challenges the player, who accidentally hit her. Xiao isn't just happy that Ling was worried about her. She's thrilled because he's wearing the bright, ridiculous t-shirt she picked out for him. At home, Ling's mom introduces him to the man in her life, and to Ling's surprise, it turns out to be his father, who had left them years ago. Ling is upset and storms out of the house. Xiao sees his car parked outside and immediately knows he's upset, so she rushes to bring him to her house, where she teases him to lighten his mood. One day, Han spots Xiao and Ling together and becomes curious about their relationship. At school, the principal announces a new rule. Boys and girls are no longer allowed to sit together during lunch to prevent dating. Han ignores this rule and sits next to Xiao, determined to find out what's going on between her and Ling. He's caught by the principal and scolded. After school, Han follows Xiao and Ling and discovers they live in the same neighborhood. The next day, he asks Xiao about their relationship, and she explains that they're childhood friends. Han is thrilled, realizing she must know everything about Ling, which he can use to his advantage. Han starts getting closer to Xiao, showing her extra attention. Her best friend even comments, "I've noticed Han's been acting differently toward you lately. He might have a crush on you." Later, Han asks Xiao to go to a cafe to work on homework together. Ling notices a suspicious car following them and quickly pulls Xiao aside, telling her someone might be watching them. Xiao confidently replies, "Don't worry, it's probably Han. He likes me." Ling scoffs. "Likes who?" "Please, get real." As they continue talking, Xiao gets excited, thinking Han truly has feelings for her. When they meet, she confronts him directly, saying, "So, let's be honest. You like me, right?" Han denies it, explaining that he just wants to study. Xiao assumes he's embarrassed and doesn't press further. During their study session, Han only asks about Ling, but Xiao doesn't catch on. Meanwhile, Ling is with Huan and Xin when they spot their teacher having coffee with another teacher at a nearby cafe. They leave quickly to avoid embarrassing them. Later, they run into Han and Xiao while shopping. Ling and Han argue over who gets to choose clothes for Xiao, but since Ling knows her better, he picks something that suits her perfectly. When Xiao returns home, she finds that Ling's dad has brought them lots of gifts. He asks her to convince Ling to give him another chance. Xiao firmly responds that Ling is the only one who can decide whether to forgive him. They decide to return the gifts. Afterward, Xiao goes to find Ling in the garden where they used to play as kids. She teases him as usual to lift his spirits and tells him, "I know you don't hate your dad, you just need time." She encourages him to take things at his own pace. Asterisk. The next day, Ling is tutoring Xin when Xiao shows up because she forgot her key. A little while later, Long walks in, pretending to have a very difficult math question that she needs Ling to explain. Ling looks at her and says, "You're holding an English book, not a math one." Xin and Long then start mocking Xiao for her low grades. Ling interrupts, saying, "Come on, Xiao, let's go grab lunch at that restaurant you told me about." There's no restaurant, of course. He just wants to get them out of there. As they leave, Han shows up, insisting on tagging along. While walking, Ling notices a car following them. Curious, he approaches the car and finds out that the person inside is his father. Ling gets angry, accusing his dad of spying on him for days. Meanwhile, Xiao returns home with Han, who is visibly nervous. Xiao's mom calls Ling's mom, telling her that Xiao brought a male classmate home. Ling and his mom rush over. At dinner, both mothers keep praising Ling, listing all his great qualities, which irritates Han to the point that he gets up and offers to do all the household chores. Just as he's about to sit back down, Xiao's mom says, "It's getting late, dear. You should go home before your parents worry." At school, Xiao and her best friend overhear Xin talking badly about Xiao, accusing her of clinging to Ling. But Xiao doesn't stay quiet. She confronts Xin and puts her in her place, politely but firmly. Later, Han asks Xiao out, and she takes him to a taekwondo gym where she thoroughly beats him. Even after that, Han insists on walking her home. Xiao starts singing to cheer him up, but her singing only makes him feel worse. He then surprises her by singing himself, and it turns out he has a great voice. Han shares that his dream is to become a famous idol, but he's afraid of how his family will react. Back at Ling's house, he finds out that his dad had been there earlier. Using any excuse, Ling leaves the house. The next day, Ling and their friends gather and play games together. During the game, Han confesses that he was the one following Xiao with a car recently. Ling immediately remembers his earlier confrontation with his dad and realizes that Han was the one spying, not his father. Despite this revelation, the group continues playing and has a great time. When Ling gets home, he sees his father again. Unlike before, he talks to him briefly but remains distant. Ling continues to avoid his dad, leaving the house every time his father comes over and staying out all day until he leaves. Meanwhile, Xiao struggles to figure out her dream and what she wants to become in the future. She decides to conduct interviews with different people about their dreams, hoping to discover hers in the process. Ling tells her she's excellent at conducting interviews and suggests she should become a journalist. After school, Ling goes to Xiao's house. She asks why he always comes over whenever his father visits. She tells him she wants to sleep and adds, "The more you run away from him, the more it shows you care. You can't keep this up forever. It'll only hurt your mom more." When Ling returns home after his father leaves, he finds his dad back again, this time bringing medicine for his mother. Ling realizes that his father genuinely cares for his mom. Deciding to take a step forward, Ling invites his father inside. Later, there's a parents' meeting at school, but Xiao's mom and dad are away visiting a relative who had an accident. Ling's mom decides to attend the meeting, pretending to be Xiao's mother, and Ling's father tags along for support. At the meeting, they run into Han's mom, who keeps talking about Xiao, saying Han can't stop mentioning her. Han's mom, assuming Ling's mom is Xiao's mother, continues praising her, which annoys Ling's mom. She starts worrying that Xiao might grow closer to Han and drift away from Ling. As soon as they get back, Ling's mom rushes to tell Xiao's mom, saying she doesn't think Han is suitable for Xiao. Coincidentally, Xiao's mom feels the same way. Both mothers want Xiao to marry Ling, and Ling's father fully supports the idea, However, Xiao's dad believes that it's a decision for Xiao and Ling to make themselves. Meanwhile, Guan is feeling depressed because her dad took away everything related to her idol to make her focus on studying. Xiao tries to cheer her up, but nothing works. Soon, rumors about Xiao and Ling start circulating because Ling's mom attended the meeting instead of Xiao's mom. Some say they're dating, others claim Xiao is clinging to Ling, and a few even suggest she's getting close to both Ling and Han at the same time. Xiao starts avoiding Ling, but he grabs her in front of the whole school and tells her to ignore the baseless rumors. Xin, seeing this, feels upset. Ling notices that Xiao and Han have been spending more time together. Han tutors her and is always by her side, making Ling suspect that Han is starting to like her. This irritates Ling, so he starts teasing Xiao whenever she talks to Han, but she ignores him. Ling even imagines Xiao marrying Han and having kids that look like him, which drives him to stick to them like glue wherever they go. Later, Jin asks Ling to accompany her to an art exhibit, but he politely declines, claiming he's busy looking for an important math book. Jin doesn't catch the hint and asks Ling's friend to help her find the book. The friend searches all night and eventually finds it, even catching a cold in the process, because he has a crush on Xin and can't refuse her requests. The next day, Xin gives the book to Ling, who realizes she made his friend get it. Ling refuses to accept it and declines to go to the exhibit with her. Wan sees this interaction and becomes upset. Ling and Wan argue and end up fighting. Meanwhile, Xiao is preparing to go out with Han to watch a movie. However, Ling shows up with a bruised face, and Xiao ends up tending to his wounds, completely forgetting her date with Han, and even Han himself. The next day, Xiao notices Han's absence from school because he caught a cold after waiting for her in the cold weather. She remembers their missed date and feels guilty. After school, she calls Han to apologize repeatedly, but while he says he forgives her, he's clearly upset when he learns she forgot him because she was busy with Ling. He ends the call quickly without saying much. Later, Xin discovers that Wan has had a crush on her since middle school because she was the only one who didn't bully him when he was overweight. She thanks him for his feelings and tells him he's special to her, inviting him to go to the exhibit with her. Wan then reconciles with Ling. During the New Year holiday, their neighbor John arrives. He's Long's son, and Xiao has admired him for a long time because of how kind he always is to her. Xiao convinces Long to bring John while she brings Ling so they can all study together. Xiao tries to persuade Ling, but he initially refuses. When he hears John will be there, however, he agrees. The group gathers, studies a bit, and spends the rest of the day watching dramas. John invites everyone to go out on the first snowy day. When they gather, Xiao acts all delicate and dainty, but Ling says, "Since when? You've always just wolfed down food in one bite." They chat casually, but Ling becomes jealous of John. Xiao, meanwhile, starts rambling, telling John how adorable he is and that she's looked up to him for years. Ling, fed up, quickly pulls her away and walks off. The next day, Ling is surprised to learn that his parents have decided to move to a big villa. This upsets him because they're still treating him like a child, making major decisions without consulting him. When Xiao hears about this, she speaks to Ling's father and explains how much Ling treasures memories. They're very important to him. She even tells him that Ling still keeps the computer his dad bought him as a kid. She insists that Ling should have a say in decisions like these. Ling's dad reassures her that the move was intended to give Ling a dedicated study room to focus on his college entrance exams. He even prepared a room for Xiao in the villa so she could visit any time. That night, Xiao can't sleep. She wakes up early and goes to Ling, asking if he's really decided to move. Ling responds jokingly, "Well, if there's no one waking me up at 6 in the morning to annoy me, then yeah, I'm moving." Xiao starts crying and reminds him of all their memories in the house. Ling takes her out for breakfast and admits he doesn't want to move. Later, his parents agree to let him stay. One day, Ling finds Xiao deeply upset, almost falling into depression. She even refuses to eat because, despite her hard work and improvement, she's still in the bottom 5 of the class. Ling calls John and asks him to send Xiao an encouraging message. As soon as she reads it, her mood improves, and she gets motivated, eating and studying even during breaks. She even prints the messages and hangs them around her neck for motivation. During class, they notice that Guan, Xiao's friend, is missing. They go out to search for her. and Ling tracks her location via her phone. On the way, Xiao nearly gets hit by a car, but Ling saves her just before Han could reach out to help. They eventually find Guan, who's upset because she's noticed her dad's behavior has changed recently. She sees him sitting with a woman and assumes he's having an affair. She storms in and causes a scene, only for another woman to show up. Guan snaps, asking, "Who's this now?" Her dad calms her down and explains that he's been looking for a tutor to help her improve her grades. Meanwhile, Han notices someone following him and initially thinks it's a thief. However, it turns out to be a producer who heard him singing in the bathroom and wants him to join his team. Han shares this with the group, and Xiao encourages him to pursue his dream, reminding him he has nothing to lose by trying. She adds that it's better than giving up and regretting it later. On another note, Guan and their quiet classmate Sita have been growing closer over time. Eventually, Ling graduates from Sanwei and begins preparing for his university entrance exams. Xiao supports him throughout his studies. Meanwhile, Han signs a contract with the production company after his family surprisingly agrees to it. He thanks Xiao for her support and makes her promise to stay friends for life. She jokes, "Just don't forget me when you become a famous idol." Han says goodbye, silently harboring unrequited love for Xiao, knowing they can't be together. Ling later enrolls at Johan University in the computer science department, which saddens Xiao since it's the first time they'll be apart. She studies hard, hoping to join the same university, while also encouraging her friends. However, she occasionally gets discouraged, unsure if she'll make it to Johan. On Ling's birthday, Xiao sits in his old seat in the classroom, feeling down. Suddenly, Ling shows up and reassures her, saying she's always achieved whatever she set her mind to. They celebrate his birthday with the small cake she brought, enjoying the moment. As Ling moves closer to her, they both feel awkward and flustered. Afterward, Ling keeps calling her to offer encouragement and stay in touch, but Xiao scolds him, saying he's distracting her, and abruptly hangs up. After some time, Xiao and her friends graduate, and the university entrance exams arrive. Xiao is surprised when Ling shows up to escort her to the exam, cheering her on even though he's more nervous than she is. After the exam, Xiao reflects on her school memories and bids farewell to those cherished moments. When the results come out, Xiao scores well and is thrilled. However, she's disheartened to learn that last year's cutoff for Ling's university is slightly higher than her score. Ling calls her to reassure her, explaining that the cutoffs change yearly, and that a new department, journalism, has opened at the university, increasing her chances of acceptance. He decides to come back to support her, telling her she has to join him at university because he wants to see her every day. She teases him, saying, "Weren't you the same person who skipped a grade in high school just to get away from me? Now you're insisting I join you at the same university?" Ling replies that he doesn't want her to be apart from him again. Just as he leans closer, she suddenly pushes him into the lake. Unfortunately, Ling can't swim, but luckily the lake is shallow. Meanwhile, Guan meets Si, who gives her a gift, a globe figurine. Before he can explain, she blurts out, "Oh, I get it. You're saying the world is round and we'll meet again someday." Si smiles and replies, "Exactly." Ling's family later gathers at Xiao's house, but Ling doesn't show up. When Xiao asks about him, she learns he's sick with a cold. She decides to check on him and finds him jokingly saying he's been practicing swimming every day in case she pushes him into a lake again. As he moves closer, Xiao gets flustered and quickly runs off. Xiao is eventually accepted into Ling's university and joins the journalism department. Guan and Ling's quiet friend Leung end up in the same dorm as her, which excites them since they're still together. Ling visits Xiao and asks why she's been avoiding him, but their conversation is interrupted by a call from her friend, who invites her out. Coincidentally, one of Ling's friends also invites him out, and at first, Ling declines. But when he learns it's the same outing as Xiao's, he agrees. During the outing, one of Ling's friends boasts about being in a relationship and spends the whole time on the phone with his girlfriend. The group plays games, and when Xiao loses, her punishment is to ask a guy at the cafe for his number. She approaches a handsome guy, but just as he's about to give her his number, her phone dies. The guy takes a pen and writes his number on her hand, which makes Ling burn with jealousy, to the point where he drinks vinegar and pretends to faint, acting as if he drank too much. One of his considerate friends pretends to feel unwell too, and convinces someone to take him home, leaving Ling and Xiao together. On the way back, Ling tells Xiao not to get close to any other guy again and moves closer, making her flustered. Despite acting drunk, Ling is completely sober and only playing her. The next day in class, the handsome guy from the cafe turns out to be a member of the student council named Jing. He announces an opportunity for students to volunteer, which would earn them extra credit. Xiao is uninterested and continues eating her sandwich, but when it's about to fall, she instinctively raises her hand to catch it, accidentally volunteering. At that moment, she is immediately selected. Shortly after, rumors spread about a guy in the computer science department who's supposedly playing around with girls, and many comments suggest it's Ling. Xiao rushes to him to stop him from checking his phone and seeing the gossip, but he's already aware and doesn't seem to care. Meanwhile, Guan uses her social media presence as a popular figure to post a clarification, denying all the rumors. The next day, Ling comes to see Xiao. Two girls notice him and start gossiping, but Xiao doesn't stay quiet. She grabs him and walks off. She attends a lecture with him, but spends most of it sleeping, only waking up when he playfully places a piece of chocolate in her mouth. At that moment, Jing interrupts and tells Xiao they have a meeting, taking her away. Ling's friends tease him, saying Jing stole her right under his nose while he just sat there like a bystander. Determined to win Xiao's attention, Ling and his friends devise a plan. Knowing Xiao loves food, they create a bouquet made of chips and chocolates. Ling takes it to her dorm, but instead of coming down to meet him, Xiao lowers a basket like a doorman, leaving him laughing, but slightly annoyed. One of his friends suggests learning card tricks to impress her, but Xiao already knows all of them, and the plan flops. Ling then decides to play to his strengths. He asks Guan to bring Xiao to a certain building, where he lights up her name in lights and gives her a camera as a gift. Xiao is genuinely moved and overjoyed. Later, she starts reflecting on everything Ling has been doing and posts about it in an online group seeking advice. The comments unanimously say, "If this isn't love, then what is? He clearly loves you." The next day, Xiao feels nervous around Ling. When she spots Jing nearby, she quickly says, "Let's test the camera on you guys." Ling, though irritated, endures it just to stay near her. Later, Xiao revisits the group comments and finds people saying that the very fact she asked for advice means she has feelings for him too. She insists, however, that she's been avoiding him. At the same time, Ling sits with his friends wondering why Xiao is avoiding him. Frustrated, he decides to confront her at the library. However, Xiao doesn't answer his calls. When he asks why, she claims her phone is broken. He immediately calls her phone, which rings, revealing her lie. Surprised, Xiao exclaims, "Oh, it's fixed!" Jing, who's nearby, notices Ling arguing with Xiao in the library. It's not the first time Ling has caught Jing around her, further fueling his jealousy. Ling decides to help Xiao study, but he ends up falling asleep. Xiao quietly observes his features, touched by how much he cares. Ling's birthday is approaching, so Xiao decides to knit him a scarf to keep him warm. On his birthday, she gives him the scarf, but Ling politely declines, saying he doesn't wear scarves. He gently rejects her feelings, explaining that he loves someone else, Xiao. Heartbroken, Xiao cries, but later realizes that Ling didn't appreciate the gift because he simply doesn't wear scarves. She takes a photo of the scarf to show her dad, claiming she made it for him. Feeling down, she accidentally bumps into Jing, who asks her what's on her mind. She tells him her friend likes someone but is afraid to get closer. Jing advises her to follow her heart and take a chance. On Ling's birthday, the whole group gathers, and when they ask Xiao about her gift for him, Xiao says she didn't bring anything. Ling is visibly upset but hides it, saying, "It's okay, it's not a big deal. I'm not a child after all." Guan, sensing the awkward tension, spills the truth, telling Ling that Xiao stayed up all night knitting him a scarf, but was afraid he'd reject it like long scarf. Ling responds, "Who said I don't like scarves? I love them. In fact, from now on, my entire wardrobe will be scarves. Fashion evolves, you know." Xiao, now emboldened, takes him shopping and buys him a shirt. Being modest, Ling chooses an inexpensive shirt that's on sale. They return to the party and continue celebrating as usual. During the break, everyone goes back to their families. Ling's mother notices how much closer he and Xiao have become and asks him directly, along with his father, if he has feelings for her. Ling immediately confesses that he loves her, delighting his parents. They encourage him to confess his feelings before it's too late. His mother also reveals that since Mrs. Han mentioned Xiao, she'd been worried about her drifting away. Ling calls Han to thank her for the support. Back at the university, Xiao has a meeting with Jing. When Ling calls her, she says she's busy and hangs up. Annoyed, Ling sends her a small virus that crashes her laptop. Jing steps in to fix it, but his proximity to Xiao makes her uncomfortable. She instinctively moves away. Later, during a rehearsal, Jing asks Xiao to stay behind to review something. As soon as everyone else leaves, he gets close to her. Xiao backs away, but Jing accuses her of pretending. "I know you're crazy about me," he says. "Everything you do shows it. From the time you came to get my number at the cafe to when you said your friend likes someone, it was obvious you meant me." Jing continues, "Every little thing you do is a hint. Come on, admit it, you're obsessed with me." Xiao retorts, "So you're the player everyone's talking about in the computer science department?" Jing smirks. "Exactly. Why don't we have some fun together?" At that moment, Ling bursts in and gives Jing a well-deserved beating. Ling, having been informed by Guan that Xiao was running late, confronts Jing, saying, "I know you're the toxic guy playing around with girls. You thought you could mess with Xiao, but now you face the consequences. Think twice before pulling another stunt." Ling then shows Xiao the post she wrote that's gone viral, revealing that she likes him. He takes her on a trip to a competition to help her relax. The two focus solely on each other, leaving Ling's friend to feel like a third wheel. Afterward, Ling invites Xiao out for more sightseeing. That night, Ling comes to Xiao's room, claiming his kettle is broken and he needs to use hers. Although he could have called room service, he says he prefers not to rely on strangers. As they chat, Ling gets nervous, trips, and falls toward her. At that moment, he confesses all his feelings for her. Xiao smiles and says she agrees to be with him on one condition: he must win first place in the competition. Practically speaking, though, she's already on board, even if they end up getting disqualified. Ling wins first place, and as they leave, they walk out hand in hand. At university, Guan keeps asking, "Why are you two acting so casually with each other? Where's the romance, the gestures of love?" For example, she suggests that Ling should open a bottle for Xiao. Xiao replies, "I open them myself." Guan teases her, saying, "Well, why not just feed him?" So Xiao offers to feed Ling, but she hesitates and ends up doing it herself. The next day she goes out with Ling and wears a gorgeous outfit. They take pictures and spend the whole day together. The following day, Ling asks her out on another date for the weekend. Xiao hesitates, saying she already has an appointment, but Ling presses her, asking if it's with a boy or a girl. When she says it's with a boy, he becomes jealous. He gets even more jealous when she avoids sharing the details with him. Ling calls Han to check if he's back from his trip, as he suspects something, but when he finds out Han hasn't returned yet, he hangs up on him. Later, Xiao plans to hang out with Guan for the weekend, but Guan suggests, "Why don't you just go out with your boyfriend?" Xiao responds, "I wish we could, but we've been having some issues lately, so we're not really in a good place. I need you with me." Every time they see Ling, Xiao talks to him with a sense of distaste, and Guan glances at him with suspicion. Ling, however, doesn't seem to understand what's going on. One day, Xiao tells Guan that she thinks Ling is cheating on her with someone else, so they decide to confront him. They go to where Ling is, and Xiao raises her voice in the middle of the street, cursing men. To her surprise, Ling shows up with a bouquet of flowers and confesses his love for her. He tells her that the globe-shaped gift he gave her has an engraving, and the message is for her. When she gets home, Xiao has her mother take a picture of the engraving. The message leads her to a heart-shaped island. Meanwhile, Ling takes Xiao and asks her to talk about their troubled relationship. When his mother video calls and Ling gets close to Xiao, she pulls away, feeling the need to hide their relationship. This frustrates him, but eventually she makes up with him. During the break, Xiao visits Ling's house. While they are close to each other, Ling's father walks in and catches them. Xiao quickly pretends to be hitting him, making it seem like they're having an argument. Ling's father knows exactly what's going on, and even informs Ling's mother. Both parents are very pleased, and they decide to plan a trip for both families. They decide to take the fathers on a trip to change the scenery, leaving Xiao and Ling alone at home to enjoy some private time together. But ever since their families left for the trip, Xiao has been busy. Once her cousin took her shopping, and another time she had a photo shoot with her cousins. Another time she tells Ling that she's too tired and needs to rest. When he sees her, she tells him that she's going out with Guan for a girls' day, promising that she will make it up to him. But when she arrives, she realizes she misunderstood, and it turns out to be a double date. where each of the two girls is with her crush. Xiao wants to call Ling, but the movie is about to start, and she realizes he won't make it in time. They tell her that once she arrives, she can explain everything to him. She doesn't even stay for the movie, and rushes over to him to explain. However, when she arrives, he's upset because someone saw them and sent him a picture, which he mistakenly believes came from her. Words are exchanged, and they argue. Xiao had already booked another ticket to watch the movie with him, hoping they could enjoy it together. Meanwhile, Ling talks to his friend about the situation, but when he finds out that the place they're at sells the cake she loves, he buys one and heads over to her. He pretends to have forgotten his apartment key and says he'll stay with her. They apologize to each other, clear up the misunderstanding, and exchange the cake. They make up and everything seems fine. However, as their parents return from the trip, they get caught in a compromising position. Of course, everyone knows about it except her father, who is shocked, and dramatically complains, "I wish I'd never come to this country or stayed in this house. We could have just stayed neighbors and none of this would have happened." He acts dramatically, but they ignore him. Back at university, Guan drags Xiao with her to attend a photography conference. Suddenly, they discover that the speaker at the conference is Jun, Long's cousin, who Xiao constantly talks about as her childhood crush. This annoys Ling, who sits there fuming. After the conference, when everyone is hanging out, Guan reveals that she knew about Ling and Xiao's relationship since Ling had told him. He insisted on sending Xiao a message to encourage her, and specifically requested it be a message, not a call, knowing that she would keep it. At the end of the day, Jun asks Ling to work with him at his company because he was impressed by Ling's project and believes it has potential. Ling agrees, but on two conditions. First, he gets to choose his own team, which consists of his friends, and second, Jun stays away from Xiao. One day, Xiao and Guan have a project to conduct street interviews about a particular topic. While they're filming, an accident occurs. A young man hits an elderly woman with his motorcycle, and people gather around to criticize and attack him. The next day, Xiao sits down to edit the videos she filmed and is shocked to find that the young man didn't hit the woman. Instead, she had thrown herself in front of him. They decide to present the footage in class, and everyone, including the professor, is impressed. They also mention that they posted the video online to show how the young man was being unfairly attacked, and people were even sharing his personal details, like his phone number and address. The professor decides to have all the students help spread the video. The following day, the young man, whose name they later learn, comes to the university looking for the person who proved his innocence. When he sees Xiao, he becomes impressed by her and recalls that he has seen her before. He's attracted to her and asks for her number, claiming it's for sending her the video as proof of his innocence. However, he keeps coming around, buying her drinks and trying to get close, but he doesn't know what she likes. He even goes to her dorm and sets up lights with a gift for her. Xiao, feeling uncomfortable, tells him to stay away and refuses anything he offers. She tells him she already has a boyfriend, but it seems like he doesn't care and replies, "It doesn't matter to me." Ling, on the other hand, is dying of frustration due to all the rumors circulating about Xiao. The next day, he brings her a packet of snack food with breakfast. She tells him, "Please spare me, I'm on a diet." He continues to act all innocent and says, "Does your boyfriend want you to lose weight or what?" But then Ling shows up with the breakfast and calmly takes her away while ignoring whatever the others say. After that, he takes her to a store to look around, taking pictures of everything she likes in the shop. Later, he meets with his friends to strategize on how to deal with the situation. They advise him that when he notices the guy, the one acting like the jealous lover, trying to play the sympathy card and act all cute, he should just act indifferent and ignore him. Then Xiao gets a call from her father, who starts scolding her, saying, "I never expected things to get so out of hand with you guys." Of course, she's confused and doesn't understand what he's talking about. But then she learns from her friends that Ling posted a picture on his account, announcing that they're planning to live together. When she opens the post from her account, she finds that he's hidden the picture, keeping it private from her. When she goes out to meet him, the clingy guy is right in front of her. As soon as she sees Ling, she starts arguing with him for hiding the picture. The clingy guy makes a remark saying, "Anyone who hides their relationship from their girlfriend can't be trusted, just so you know." Ling continues to apologize, takes her home, and surprises her with everything she likes. He even gives her a copy of the apartment key and tells her that everything is almost ready. They create a romantic atmosphere, dance together, and then go down, where they run into Chen. At that moment, Ling finally decides to give in, convinced of their love for each other. After some time, Guan's birthday approaches, and Sai is still traveling. They communicate through video calls, and he tells her that he will try to return before her birthday and will continue to keep in touch. But then, he disappears, and a period of time passes without any response. The reason is that he is in a place without any network, and he can't reach out to her again. On Guan's birthday, she cries because she misses him so much, but he doesn't care. In that moment, she decides to break up with him. Afterward, Guan goes through a period of depression due to the breakup. She becomes emotionally drained and weak, like a ghost. Xiao is there for her, supporting her every step of the way, staying with her throughout the day. It takes more than a year, but eventually Guan returns to her normal life. Meanwhile, Xiao is working at a company, but her boss treats her poorly, making her life difficult because the other intern who works with her has connections and is favored. Ling, on the other hand, has graduated and works for Jun's company. He shares a dorm with one of his friends, and they also work together. He happens to run into Sai by chance, and they agree to meet. Later, he asks his friend to book a table for him at a famous restaurant, and his friend assumes he's inviting Xiao. He calls Xiao and says, "Get ready, because Ling seems like he's going to invite you today." Xiao gets excited and prepares. At the same time, she receives a call from Han, who has become a famous idol. He tells her he'll be returning from his travels soon and wants to meet up with her. She then calls Ling to tell him that she has finished work. So Ling tells her, "Okay, go home ahead of me since I'll be late for work." Xiao goes home and starts questioning his friend until she finds Ling walking in with Si. She wants to confront him for hurting her friend and says, "That's how all men are." But Ling explains that when he was traveling, there was no network at the place, and the app he used to send her his daily updates was malfunctioning. When he comes back to explain, she listens. Xiao scolds him a bit, venting her frustration, and tells him that any relationship falls apart due to a lack of communication, especially since it was her birthday. This hurt her deeply. At that moment, Ling feels regret and wants to make things right in their relationship in any way possible. Xiao decides to help him. Later, Ling confronts Xiao and says, "Come on, tell me. What's with all the men? What's the deal?" They keep discussing it, and his friend visits them but says, "It's like I'm not even here." However, Xiao has to stay with Ling because of the curfew at her dorm. The next day, she wakes up to news that Ling has broken his leg. She goes to take care of him, and they talk about how Xiao has liked Ling for a long time. She admits that she did like him, but gave up because she felt their relationship was too strong. But as soon as she sees Ling, she changes and acts flustered, speaking softly to tease Xiao. Meanwhile, Xiao continues to try and convince her boss to let her write an article, but the boss refuses and mocks her. But when Ling shows up and takes her to a famous restaurant, she thinks he's going to propose to her. She starts acting strangely, and at the end of the day, Ling asks her about her odd behavior. She tells him the truth, and he's overjoyed to hear it. He takes her home to sleep at his place and tells her stories until she falls asleep. Later, Xiao, Ling, and Si plan a surprise for Guan. Ling continues to dance to her favorite idol's moves and apologizes to her, but she tries to leave. He follows her, giving her his jacket because it's cold. While at his place, Xiao finds messages and journals he had been sending her in his phone. Meanwhile, Xiao faces a competition between her and the other intern to decide who will be hired after graduation. The competition involves both of them conducting interviews, and the one who gets more views wins. Although Xiao wins, they decide to redo the contest because the other girl objects to the broadcast time of her interview, which usually brings in high views. The other girl also suggests shortening the submission deadline to put pressure on Xiao. One day, Xiao overhears the other girl talking about her, saying that a person like her, without connections, wouldn't be able to win unless she interviewed a famous celebrity. At that moment, Xiao thanks her for the idea and brings Han to do the interview. He teases her a bit, asking her to explain things, and it becomes clear they are very close friends. When the director and Xiao's boss meet Han, they thank Xiao for arranging the interview, acknowledging that she was the one who made it happen. The manager continues to praise Xiao as if she were her niece, even though she had previously treated her poorly. When the other intern sees the situation has changed, she tries to spread rumors about Xiao, claiming that Xiao must have a relationship with Hinda. But Ling shows up and denies any rumors that are being spread. Of course, Xiao wins the competition. Ling then scolds her for not telling him that she was facing issues at work. She promises to share everything with him from now on. She invites Han over for lunch at their house. Ling informs her that her father has finally approved of their relationship and that they will announce their engagement soon. Han arrives, and they joke around like old times until Ling receives a call. At that moment, Xiao asks Han if he really loves her, because during the interview, he said he loved the girl who helped him and encouraged him to enter the field he loves. He mentioned that she inspires him when he writes his songs, and he hopes they'll always be friends. Although everything he said was true, he denies it, telling her that it was just something to say for the media and that it's a story to tell when he becomes famous. At the end of the day, they all head home and someone takes a picture of them. Rumors start circulating, especially after they edited Ling out of the picture, but honestly, they don't care. Meanwhile, Sai continues to pursue Guan until she finally forgives him and admits that she saw the videos on his phone. Later, Ling and Xiao return to their families and take a group photo, which they hang up in the living room. They reminisce about their shared memories in every place. Then, Ling takes Xiao to the amusement park and proposes to her, just like the characters from the story she used to love. Of course, she agrees immediately. They live their entire lives together from the moment they were born, growing old and happy. After a few years, they have a baby and continue to live together in happiness, more so each day than the last. And so, the series ends with a happy conclusion.